how to unlock profitability through merchandise planning. And in many respects, I'd say, refer to step 2, because it doesn't really matter what fancy footwork I relay and try and teach people. If you're doing the wrong dance to the wrong music and you're at the wrong venue, my fancy footwork's not going to help. So it's really about first create that right environment and those right expectations, and get clear in your mind what merchandise planning is and does. And then you can look at adding the secret sauce. By timing, I'm really referring to the fact that on that retail cycle or on the planning continuum, merchandise planning is very often working further ahead than other people. If you think about lead times, and of course they vary for different businesses, but once things are placed, once stock is committed, your options are limited as to what you can still now do and how flexible you can be. Your period that you can influence, is further extended out. So I really encourage businesses to start doing things earlier. My preference, for next financial year, for example, is start now. I know that a lot of businesses want to have their current financial year put to bed, really understand exactly where they got with it, have Christmas at the very least under their belt, so that they are setting a plan on more, I guess, knowns, more actual data. If you embrace that planning is dynamic, like we talked about earlier, and if you think about it in that Google Maps context, then hopefully people can be a lot more relaxed about starting the process earlier, because you're not locked in, because it's not rigid, because you can course correct. But what that allows you to do is get on the front foot and be strategic about how you're approaching your next financial year, and have that game plan in place before you start committing stock, which means every dollar that you spend on your stock should be a more informed investment, and that's setting you up for a more profitable outcome. And this is an area that I see businesses really misstep over and over and over again. And I think sometimes it's separating the requirements of budgeting from a financial perspective or finance perspective versus a merchandise perspective. So I really do encourage businesses, if you want to unlock profitability through your planning, start earlier. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be to the lowest degree of detail, but have a game plan, start the conversation, start informing your plan, and articulating your strategy through your plan, and then course correct and refine up until you actually start the new year. The other one here is understanding that all the measures are linked. It still surprises me how many businesses I work with that have got a very singular focus on sales without the accompanying link to stock and margin, because they really are. Sales, margin, and stock are linked at every single stage of that merchandise cycle. I could pick any one of those activities and reference an example of how sales and margin and stock are linked. And I think to treat them as separate things is a big mistake. Whether it's in that early stage of the merchandise financial plan, really understanding the levers of how to achieve those extra sales, but have them be profitable sales, how much stock it takes to do them, they all hold hands and they are all on a continuum together. If you move into the ranging or buying stage, deciding how to carve up your OTB, how to invest your money, is going to come down to understanding prior performance. And that prior performance shouldn't be one-dimensional. It shouldn't just be what sold best. It should be what sold best and made us the most profit, and understanding those results in the context of what stock you had available. When it comes to the allocation decisions, it's going to be, where is the stock performing at the moment? Where are we getting the most sales? But just where you're getting the most sales doesn't mean where you need to send the next top up of stock. Maybe those stores still have plenty of stock. So you need to look at stock when you're making that decision as well. You need to look at whether those sales are full price sales or or promotional markdown sales and whether they really warrant being reinvested in. So all the way through the cycle, those measures hold hands, and I can't stress enough how important it is to take that holistic view to all the planning steps and analytics. To unlock profitability, I can't stress enough, be obsessive over your stock, the accuracy, the stock health. Really look at your stock through a variety of different metrics. That, you know, different measures are more applicable for different activities and at different times. So whether you're looking at something like a stock turn or a sell through, a freshness measure, forward weeks of cover, they all have their place. They will all tell you something slightly different. I recommend using multiple, not being, again, one-dimensional and just falling into a habit of your favorite stock measure. I think it's good to use more than one because they put a different perspective on things. They'll challenge your thinking. They'll bring another dimension in. I like to use stock measures that also bring in a margin consideration. Looking at those stock measures and looking at them at the right way and early enough can give you such a good steer as to where you're going, whether you're on track for the profitability you think you're going to achieve, and can inform what action you can take right now to potentially avoid a disaster or to course correct or to really maximize an opportunity. With the customer experience moving to where it is and people wanting it right now, and personalized and all of that type of experience that we're talking about, it puts even more pressure on the accuracy of stock and where to be holding that stock to fulfill that demand. Because if the customer expects to be able to walk into a practically stockless store where they can have an amazing experience just of how the store is laid out and how they experience that space, go to lunch and come back and pick up something that wasn't necessarily on display, to satisfy that, you need to know exactly where your stock is. You need to have exactly the right amount close to that outlet to satisfy that customer expectation, which is only growing all the time. And so I think where that all winds back to is data and systems, really setting up that infrastructure well early on, having the right disciplines around that, the right understanding of what data you need. And certainly, I think what a lot of businesses struggle with is having good inventory management in the sense of having retail and cost value on their stock so that they can understand the profitability in that stock as well.